Now it's starting to lean towards CJ off the game that he played, obviously, in the national semifinal.
I guess they missed that game that Bryce Young played in the SEC championship against Georgia.
Oof.
I guess they missed that when he threw for 400 plus, but okay.
They're both really good, and I would be very happy to have either one as my going forward face of the franchise starting quarterback. Okay, so they're going to be the first two overall selections. So my point is, we have come a long way.
We have.
But if we frame it against what's happened to black head coaches as we speak, even though we think D'Amico Ryans is going to get a job, you're pretty sure, right?
Yes.
Are we very sure?
Very sure.
Okay.
Very sure.
Okay, we should be very sure.
I won't say 100%, but I will say 99.9%.
Well, every time we talk about black head coaches, I'm afraid to go to 100% because I never know, because I thought Steve Wilkes was like 99%, and that was not true.
Right.
Mike Tomlin, Todd Bowles, Mike McDaniel.
Yep.
3.
Yes.
Okay? And yet 19 black quarterbacks started games last year, but we still have only 3 head coaches.
Right.
It's just hard to reconcile those two numbers to me, because we're doing pretty well over here.
Right.
Not great, but pretty well with the black quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We are going backward with the black head coaches.
Yes.
Help me out.
Yes.
What is happening?
Well, I thought, Skip, once Tony Dungy broke through and won the Super Bowl, and it was the first, he went against his good friend Lovie Smith, who was on his staff. I was like, okay, this is going to be more opportunities. And then a few years later, Mike Tomlin breaks through and he wins it. You thought the floodgates were open, but it hadn't happened. It's kind of like what we thought with Tiger Woods playing golf. We thought we were going to see a whole lot of blacks on the circuit.
Boy, I did.
On the tour.
After 99?
I mean,
97.
97. And the only one I can really think of is Howard Varner.
Yeah. Well, that's about it.
That's it.
No.
So, Skip, look, I just, like you said, there's going to be 2 more coming to the, I'm sure there's some more black quarterbacks, but we think that CJ and Bryce Young will be selected in the top 5 picks.
Yep.
And so we've come a long way. Is there more work to be done? Sure. I think the guys have shown, I think from Patrick Mahomes to Dak and to Russell Wilson, not so much last year, but in the past, that when given the opportunity, they can do the job. And they can do the job at a very, very high level. And that's what sometimes, Skip, it just takes an opportunity. It's like you giving me an opportunity. I was the first athlete to sit across from a full-time journalist or an ex-full-time journalist and debate topics. You guys covered all these sports. You went to Lake Placid and covered the Winter Olympics. Or you went overseas.
It's funny you picked out Lake Placid. It's like my least favorite place I ever went in my life, but I was there.
You was there. And so you probably saw Eric Heiden, and you saw the gold medal of the Olympic team win the gold medal. You probably, so you covered all of these events. But you gave an athlete an opportunity to talk about something other than the sport he played.
That is
true.
So
it was up to me to show that, okay, I got to hold in, because if I don't do it, and everybody knows that really knows me, knows that I have a vast knowledge about a lot of different things.
You do.
If I can't do it, well, who in the hell can?
That is true.
And so sometimes someone has to give you an opportunity, and then said person that received the opportunity has to take full advantage of it. And what we've seen from the black quarterback, when given the opportunity, or the black coaches for it, and we'll talk about, I'm sure we'll get to, as the hiring cycle picks up, we'll talk about the black coaches. But what we've seen from the black quarterback, when given the opportunity, everything's around them, and they give them like what you see what they do. They go out and they get Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Higgins was already there, so he can succeed.
Yep.
A lot of times he will succeed just as their white counterpart has.
That is correct. So, to me, what we see happening here is that, let's take it all the way to the top, white ownership, and many times white general managers. They are seeing that black quarterbacks can win them a lot of football games.
Absolutely.
Okay, so they're saying, oh, he's doing it over there and they're doing it over there. Maybe I should get me a black quarterback.
Exactly.
And that's why we have this breakthrough, because they are succeeding at the highest levels.
Yes.
And this is nothing but great, because this will continue to open minds to, well, maybe I should. Yeah,
right.
Okay.
And we got Rand Carthon, who's now the general manager in Tennessee.
Good one.
And arguably one of the greatest general managers ever, Ozzie Newsome.
I think he just might be the greatest.
Skip, remember what Bill Nunn did in the Steelers in the early 70s?
He did. He revolutionized. But he went to the HBCUs.
Yes.
Yeah, and he knew where everything was that was off the beaten track for the NFL.
A lot of the 70s, a lot of those teams, your Cowboys lived, Tex Stram lived at black colleges.
Well, Gil Brandt.
Gil Brandt,
did, yes. On the other front, on the black head coaches, we see again and again and again that the white owners are not that comfortable because they want to have a very close working relationship. And it's not, I'm not saying they're racist. I'm just saying they're culturally not inclined to want to associate at great length with an African-American head coach because it's just not it's not how they're built. You know, I don't want to socialize with this guy. Again, it's not going over the line of racism. It's just how they were raised, how they were built. So we're down to 3 and we hope we're going to have 4, but it's looking pretty dim on that front right now because it comes down to it's not so much about winning, it's about associating in the end. And that's been the roadblock for a lot of black coaches to get head coaching jobs. The assistants are fine. We're fairly well stocked with the assistants, but not with the
and what they'll do, Skip, is that they're black. This is what will make you assistant head coach. We'll give you a fancy title. Give you a little bit more money, but it's not the title.
I got it. Which brings me back to a young man that you mentioned, Jalen Hurts, who is dear to my heart. I've been a big fan for a long time. I'm an even bigger fan of what he just overcame and achieved, to your point, because he is also shattering this mold of, oh, you're just a running quarterback. A lot of people wrote him off in his first year. Okay, so you can run some. And he's not a flashy runner like Lamar is.
No.
But he is an effective runner. Because he's a smart runner and he's a strong runner. But this past offseason, you know and I know, he just said, okay,
he got in the lab.
Watch this. And boy, he went to work. He came out here, my friend Tom House at USC. How do I do this? Rebuild me. Restructure my mechanics. Show me the right way to do this. You taught Brady, you taught Breeze, you taught him just about all of them. Show me. And he worked. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of hard work and a lot of extreme dedication that a lot of young players just don't have in their hearts. I'm talking about white, black, whatever color they are. They just don't have it. They have better things to do at that age than that.
Especially as you get older, it gets harder for us to learn new things. I think the thing that I love most about Jalen, Skip, because this is what will happen. You can learn something new, but when you get in a stressful situation, you'll revert back to what you
That's a great point. I agree.
Feel comfortable with. For whatever reason, even when in the most stressful situations, he has not reverted back to his
By the way, quick point on that. My friend Tom House always talks, or used to talk about Tim Tebow that way because he taught Tebow in the offseason. He said, I promise you, I could have lined up Tim Tebow with Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Carson Palmer and you name them down a line, and they could all throw at the same time, and you wouldn't be able to pick him out of the lineup because his delivery looked pure to me when he's out here at USC throwing against air, right? Get him under duress, and what starts happening?
He'll revert back to what he feels comfortable with.
Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
No, and so Jalen went to the lab, Skip. He worked on it in stressful situations. The motion hadn't changed.
It hasn't changed. He achieved at the highest level. It's why I fought for him to be the MVP. I can't do his numbers versus the Star Wars numbers that Patrick put up, and so he's going to be the runaway winner, especially because Jalen finally got hurt at Chicago. But what he achieved intangibly, impact on that franchise, I think he changed their culture, and I think he, just on his leadership and pure will, I think he helped lift. It's obviously a talented football team, but he helped lift them into the spot that they're in right now as the Super Bowl slight favorite.
And he in line to get a big old payday.
I'd say. And
he might get $200 million for the guaranteed.
And his left tackle is now campaigning all over Twitter, pay the man. Well, I think that's pretty obvious. I think he has earned his
he about to get paid. He about to get paid.
Okay, here we go. Way to go.
Speaking of getting paid, NFL released salary cap numbers for next season, and there's some room for some folks to get paid, that's for sure. All right, guys, still to come this morning, I need you to weigh in on whether or not the Bengals gave Joe Burrow enough help this season. And then Patrick Mahomes, speaking of which, you think he's on track to surpass Tom Brady?
Really?
That's coming up next, right here on Undisputed.